Hi, my name is Alice Foy. I am the Team Operations Strategist here at the Digital Jane. This week we are talking about why texting for teams is a bad idea. I want to start with my own personal opinion. As I'm having different group conversations about future trips and chatting with my cousins and sharing memes with my sister, the thought of also having business related things or work related things funneling into the same kind of, text message thread feels overwhelming to me. And I think for a lot of people, we've just gotten used to always being on and needing to juggle so many things. But when you truly put the things in place to separate your work and your life, texting has become for me personal. I feel like the people who know me personally can reach me via text message, right? The people who are acquaintances, in business, they can reach me via text message. But when it comes to projects, when it comes to clients, when it comes to even someone inquiring about working with me, I prefer to either have those conversations via email or in some sort of text platform like Slack or Zoom chat or Teams, even. So today I want to break down the reason why it's important for you to have containers in your business, because as you are starting to grow and build and develop a team of your own, you want to make sure that there is a standard set. Again, there go those standards, a standard set for how you communicate in your organization. And one of the best ways to do that is by developing some sort of communication hub that when someone is hired and they're rolled into the fold, they know exactly how to get in contact with the people that they need to. They know where to get in contact with them. They're not emailing or calling directly or texting or, all the time that we waste trying to figure things out when you save so much time by going ahead of it and figuring it out for others. It's like crazy to me, right? So I want you to think about a productivity tool like Slack as a communication hub where no matter what department, no matter what the project, everyone knows that it's going to happen in this one place, right? And then even if there are email conversations that are happening as well, your team understands what can go in Slack and what should be shared via email. When we don't define how this communication is going to happen, people are going to start figuring out their own ways. It's just the way that it goes. So if someone comes from a company where they're heavy texters, they may be texting people on their personal lines. They may think that that's the best way to get it done. They may be just used to picking up the phone and calling people, which we know if you're in meetings or whatever, even that can get tricky, right? But the goal is to define how communication happens in your organization so that when people are joining, they know exactly how to roll in. One of the things that I love the most about a tool like Slack or even Zoom chat is it allows you to have channels for different streams of communication, right? So if you want to break down channels, think of a channel as like a text thread. Think of that as like your group text, right? So let's say you have one for your HR department, you have one for your marketing team, you have one for your admins or your operations people. You can break it down as much as you need to based on what containers of conversations you need to have. And that's a very easy way to think about how to use a tool like Slack, right? And then when you get into like projects, you can create channels that bring departments together based on maybe a project that they're working on or a shared scope of work. Like if there is like an overlap on a certain process, it may be easier to put them into a channel opposed to going back and forth via emails, one person sharing an update in this channel, then trying to communicate it to another. Just bringing them into one channel so that it doesn't leave any, room for confusion on what the expectations are. So I'm always going to root for a communication tool. I'm always going to root for teams developing a communications plan on what does it look like to have our team operating in a platform like Slack or Teams. What does it look like if we are sending less emails? Are we more productive when people aren't boggled down with emails? Because what I see is that when we don't use a tool, you end up just using an email thread in the same way you could a Slack. People are like texting they're on their phones and they're like texting in the email thread. So that's a little bit better than text messaging, but still not as efficient as having a platform in a designated channel for this conversation. Because by the time I get a thought out, it could be you have one new email and now someone else has already responded to something I was getting ready to say. So even that slight delay can make a difference, opposed to like being in Slack and seeing updates in real time as soon as it's sent. So I want you to think about how you handle internal communication, and then also what does it look like for you when you have external clients? Like if you do client services, how are you streamlining the conversation with clients? Right? They're going to come with their own kind of preferences. They're going to come with their own things. So one of the things that I always suggest is during onboard or kick off your first meeting when you start with this client is identify what works best for them. When you're talking about meeting preferences and when your standing is going to be and all of that kind of stuff, also talk through what works best for you in communication. Do you all use Slack internally? Because if so, we can create a Slack Connect channel, and then that way you don't have to add me to your thing. I can stay in my workspace, you can stay in yours, and we'll just have this shared channel that anyone working on this project can jump into. I want to keep this short, but I want you to think about this week. What are some of the kind of challenges that you had in communication by just not having a place for it to happen? And even if you are already in a Slack, is it underutilized? Are there ways that you can use it better and make your team actually use it more? Because if you have Slack, but you're still texting, you're still doing all this other stuff outside of it, maybe it's time to revisit the way that you use it. And if that's the case, we have a service that we can help you with. Just reply to this email and let me know that you need some support, and we can chat and see if it's a fit. As always, my name is Alice Foy. I love sharing these videos. If you have any comments, please feel free to reply. And until next week, talk to you then.